This is the Real Estate and Open Space Committee meeting on October 21st, 2022. It's 9:18. We had met in executive session.
Elaine, you wasn't recording when you started.
Oh, okay. Real Estate and Open Space Committee meeting, October 21st, 2022. We met at an executive session at a site visit. We adjourned that executive session, and we are now back here in Town Hall, and we will open our regular session. We don't need a motion, do we?
No, we're good.
Okay, we're good. First order of business is to approve the minutes from the regular session of September 16th, 2022. Is there any discussion, any changes, thoughts?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of September 16th, 2022.
Second?
Seconded?
All right, any discussion on them, anything? Okay, we're good, thank you. Thank you, Carol.
Wait, we didn't vote. All in favor?
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. New business, discussion with Dan Pelletier, Superintendent of Harwich Water and Wastewater Department. Alan, would you like to join at the table too? And for the record, just say who you are.
Good morning, Dan Pelletier, Water Wastewater Superintendent of the Town of Harwich.
Alan Thompson, Water Commissioner, wastewater.
Thank you.
Town Hall.
Thank you for joining us. I think the potential interest in any properties that the Water Department might be interested in that we could help
Yeah, definitely.
if you
So
acquire.
I took, you had been kind enough to share a few lists with me with a handful of different parcels in different states of either tax, lien, foreclosure. So I'd done a cursory review of those to just try to see what may be a good place to retain, if not just for water, maybe for potential future wastewater pump station or recharge site. So I did go through, and I have a number of those. Just on another note, the recent land taking that we did, which started, I think, from a similar discussion a few years ago, I reached out to Barnstable County. We funded the last land taking with the Barnstable County DRI mitigation funds. The town had about $180,000 available of those funds. We did use about $90,000 with the last taking, and I confirmed with the county the remaining money is still available to use for this purpose, again, if the town would like to. So there is some money that exists that we could use, as we did previously for owners unknown.
And I joined in on that meeting that they had on the 18th of September. And I guess the next phase is going to be for projects over $500,000 and specifically focused on housing and wastewater. So, yeah, you want to get in on that one too.
Yeah, I did actually submit 3 grant applications
Okay,
to them
all
for that small to medium, the
Right.
2 to 500,000 that those were due a week or so ago. So
Yeah,
I got those in. But
yeah.
so if you want me to kind of go through
Yeah,
at least
let's
some of the
hear what
ones
you've
I've-
come up with.
all right, so I guess looking at the first list that you provided to me, which was the one titled liens, this one
Oh,
looks
the other
familiar.
one. Yeah, okay.
There's,
So many spreadsheets.
from what I could identify, at least in the initial look, there's 3 properties in Hall's Path totaling about 10 acres, or off of Hall's Path. What most people refer to as, Cuddy's Pit area, between 39 and 137. We are currently and have been looking for an effluent recharge site for wastewater.
Do you just have there in front of you the map and parcel numbers of those?
Yeah, map 86, parcel B17, B14, and B3.
Okay, good.
So I was thinking those could be, if the town was able to obtain them, a potential effluent recharge site. So we have really a need for that with our obligation through the IMA with the town of Chatham, and as well as for sewering the rest of the community, we're gonna have to identify recharge sites.
Okay.
We have an existing ongoing project right now to investigate sites, but as you can imagine, a lot of the land that's not developed is adjacent to water bodies environmentally sensitive areas, which makes it difficult to site recharge sites. So any opportunity to secure some land for that potential future would be.
Okay.
Could I just ask a question? For an effluent recharge site, how much clearing is necessary to do that?
In those ones, it's pretty much a clear, open sand bed.
Okay.
So it is a pretty clear cut for that installation,
Okay,
which where these ones kind of abut that already open swath by the pit there, I thought that that could be a less impactful location than clearing some other
Right.
undeveloped land.
right,
Which
okay.
pit was this again?
The Cuddy Pit behind Stag.
Oh, behind Stag, okay, yeah.
Another one I had for parcel 57A6 at 88 Queen Anne Road. It's a really long, thin parcel. My thought behind that is if we do need to get a water or sewer pipe beneath the highway, we were talking about a potential treatment plan at the DPW if Harwich has to build one. We're currently exploring effluent recharge sites north of Route 6, so that long finger parcel from Queen Anne to the highway could serve as access as a, subsurface pipe to get beneath Route 6. So just kind of keeping our options open, some of these that I've kind of pulled out. The next 55 L4 on Depot Street, that was about 2 acres. I think there was some other town-owned land adjacent to that. I was thinking that could also be another potential host for an effluent recharge site. If I remember correctly, that does abut up by the highway there. And then last on this list are the 2 parcels at 0 Chatham Road, 33E2 and 34E3.
I'm sorry, could you just give those numbers again?
Yeah, 33E2 and 34E3.
Oh, 34E3. Okay.
Those two are dual pilots.
I'm sorry, been trying to scribble these down. As you said, the one on Queen Anne Road, what was the map and parcel on that?
57A6.
Okay, all right.
I think that's all the way down.
That one
Almost.
is where near where the power lines cross.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that is the lien list, and I guess I wasn't super sure where in process some of these are. I looked at the foreclosure list. There's also a handful on that list that I think, just going back to the 0 Chatham Road ones on the lien list, if we're able to secure E2 and E3 as well as the last 3 on the foreclosure list, that would make a contiguous tract eastward from the water department land on Chatham Road. So between the lien list and the foreclosure list, there's 4 parcels that would kind of expand that protection of the water department land there.
So on the foreclosure list.
Which is, I kind of snipped out a section of it, but
Can I just make a suggestion that I can't find the paper, there's papers that you're looking
I
at,
know, I've got
and
more.
it would be really helpful if there was a map for these
Yeah.
things. I'd be more than willing to help you, develop it. It should give me a little bit of lead time.
yeah, and I
I'm
guess,
trying to remember all these parcels, because I'm looking at thousands across the whole town.
right,
all the
right.
time. And, as you say, there's some that are on foreclosure lists, there are some that are tax, it's just crazy. So, but I do understand the E3s, I understand those, the rest of them, I'm
Yeah, and I
cloudy,
can,
let's put it that way. I know the rough areas, but just a suggestion.
yeah, and I would have loved to have put a map together for us to spread out on the table and look at, and maybe that's something I can do and come back at a future meeting. I guess at this point, I've identified a handful, the Chatham Road ones, the ones we just discussed, the tax title list, which I know you guys had put a decent amount of effort into. There's a lot of comments on that. Most of the 6 ponds and all those you had already identified, sand pit next to Cuddy's, there's kind of same areas we're talking. So I guess what I would propose is maybe I go back, I can put a map together and based on the different categories, I'd also like to bring the wastewater commissioners up to speed as to kind of what I'm thinking, what my thoughts are. To get this done, just thinking of the last time we did it, I will have to get authorization at town meeting for the board water commission to take those properties. I have a meeting with Capital Outlay after this, so I'm hoping to introduce the topic. Maybe we can get that authorization in the spring, funding to start to do any tax title research that we need to do and kind of kick the process off. When we did it the last time, I want to say took over, a year or two between appropriating and approving the authorization at town meeting to getting the survey and all the deed research and whatnot done. So I guess that's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking at this point.
and the foreclosure can take years. Yeah.
And is that, so if it's on the foreclosure list, the town is foreclosing or the bank's foreclosing?
The town,
No,
Okay.
the town.
it's the town.
That's-
Tax title.
All right,
That's
and
a
so we're
tax
taking
lien.
it, okay.
Foreclosures are basically said, we're basically got a lien against the, there's a tax lien, and then there's, all right, we're gonna take this property from you if you don't pay it up.
So-
So it gets a step closer to the town actually fully foreclosing on it.
All right, now I guess in those instances, should we just let that foreclosure process play out? Or is that, if we think there's a benefit to scooping them up, we should start pursuing them through an eminent domain taking?
I would think that that's your decision, or, in terms of, this is a really important piece of property. We don't want to let it
Yeah.
slip out,
Mhm.
okay? But I think under those circumstances, you'd probably have to take it by eminent domain,
Quicker,
not wait for the
Yeah.
foreclosure.
Okay,
yeah. Excuse me, as the tax collector told us, a property that they sent for foreclosure in 2015 just finally closed. So it can take years.
okay.
So if it's really something you think is critical, then eminent domain may be the best way to go about that.
Yeah, because where some of these are in the foreclosure and other ones are in lien or owners unknown, to make that really valuable to the department is to have that all be a contiguous, protected space. So we
Right.
really need to tackle items on both lists.
Yeah, so I think eminent domain is probably going to be the best,
like eminent
simplest way to do it.
Because you want to take them all at one time.
Right.
Yeah,
And the owner's not unknown, you would have to do by eminent domain.
Got it.
yeah. Yeah, so if you can put together, the properties that you're interested in, laid out, and the reason why you want it.
Yeah.
The potential use of it, that would be good. Come
Great.
back and,
It's kind of like the last hurrah,
yeah,
a lot of pressure on the community now.
yeah, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, well, that's why I approached you, Dan, and asked you if there was anything we can help you with to.
Yeah,
And he's willing,
trying.
you know.
And
No.
I have a question. No-
Sure.
None of these properties have homes on them or anything, right? They're just
No.
all, yeah.
Other just land. Yeah, they're all land. Dave?
The other thing I would suggest is that you present them, when you've got a lot of properties like that you're, scattered all over town like we did with our list. It was so long, we kind of set priorities either by needs or something like that. Some sort of prioritization would help, I think, in terms of your sales presentation.
Mhm.
Yeah, the
As I
selectmen
say,
usually ask for that.
Again, that can be done on the map in terms of, cross-hatching or some way saying, this is a priority one, this is a priority two.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure you're gonna be able to afford all the properties.
No, and, I'm thinking, wastewater pump stations and, going through phase 3 design now and siting pump stations, and seeing these little parcels throughout. I'm trying to overlay them on the sewer map too to see,
Yep.
where
Absolutely.
future pump station may be, because if we might need it in 40 years, it's better than getting rid of it and paying someone to take it back,
Yeah.
Right, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. That's good.
As I think we all agree, anything we can do to help you with these projects, we'd be glad to.
All right.
And,
You know, it might also be helpful, if you're gonna be putting together a map, is to identify the ones that you've just already done,
Mhm.
so that you can sort of see how everything connects up. And Dave he is a huge resource on this if you want, I mean, Dave, where are you with your updating of the maps?
I'm sorry?
Where are you with the updating of the maps?
Status of the maps is that they are done, but there's one error. And I was working with a ArcGIS expert this week. He can't figure it out either, and it has to do with identifying the HCT property. I have it in ArcMap, it works. But when I try to convert it over to Google Earth so that you could share it, Harwich, HCT compact owned stuff just doesn't come over. It's just
That's weird.
blank. We don't know why.
I
But
have
I've got him, he's taking it home and he's gonna try to figure out what the,
Yeah.
he's gonna on his system, so.
I can take probably the ArcMap file. I do have ArcGIS Pro, so I should be able to bring it in.
Well, he's got ArcGIS
Okay.
Pro. We're on ArcMap still, although we have a Pro license. My understanding is Pro requires a different mindset, let's put it that way.
It's
And he
more
said it's
user-friendly, I
non-trivial.
think. Yeah.
So I'm holding off right now. I'm trying to get the map done. But
I was
it's an export issue from out of ArcMap.
I was just wondering if there's a more efficient way to marry what they're working on with the maps that you're finishing up, so that it's all in one place and we could see
Well,
it.
Kathy, you have the map. You have a big map there, right? Is that your?
Yeah, that's just a map that was HCT and the commission or something about.
Oh, okay, so it's
Yeah,
not.
it's different.
No, okay, all righty.
Well, I guess we could just
Yeah.
start with a paper map and then
Yeah,
I don't know if you're interested in our, the ArcMap file.
Yeah, if you have it, yeah.
It's at the trust and I could export it for you.
Perfect, yeah,
Then you could see the work that we've been doing on that.
great.
okay. So if you'd like to, work on that and then come back, and if there's any other things that you kind of stumble on, say, whoops, I didn't notice that one, be glad to have you back, and, we can work together to help you acquire them.
Yeah,
Anything we can do. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Okay,
Thanks.
all right.
thank you so much.
When you look at the maps and you see some of how the lots are laid out, this size, these long,
Mhm.
narrow strips, and,
Yeah, well, those are those ones on Queen Anne Road, because I'm familiar with them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, I just, it just never made any sense.
yeah.
Weren't they woodlots, Alan?
Hmm?
Weren't they historically woodlots that people would
Well,
just?
yeah, in a lot of cases, or
Yeah.
a family feud.
Yeah, okay, well, that too.
That's how I can look
Yeah,
at it.
yeah,
And they all walked away in the end,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, and, yeah, historically, I always think back as a kid in the coffee shop, and you hear a couple of local folk talking about a piece of land. In fact, just like you said, woodlot.
Mhm.
So like Theron Holmes, who owned Holmes Oil, used to sell firewood.
Mhm.
So he would be saying to Joe Honk, what are you doing with that land? He said, nothing, you want it? Sure. So Theron, he'd go cut the wood off,
Mhm.
that would be kind of like the end. Joe Honk would pass away and, there the land sits, nothing.
Yeah,
And we're left to figure it out later on in life,
yeah,
But that was a routine. Land had no value in those
Yeah.
days, I mean.
right.
Yeah, let me give you $10 for it,
Mhm.
but they never record it or do all the necessary legal work. So henceforth, that's where we're at. I mean, it's better today
Mhm.
than when I first started being involved in town
Yeah.
affairs. It was crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy. I mean, there was people that had come to town and spent a fortune cleaning up titles and, to develop, but,
Mm.
yeah, I mean, it's amazing to see what it looks like today.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, how much less, but it's been an interesting run. Yeah,
I may have found too, and I'll circle back on this, but I had found when I was trying to identify pump station sites for Phase 3, a parcel at the intersection of Pleasant Bay and Round Cove Road. I found it on a number of the subdivision plans from Walden Woods. They're the subdivision that's right there. Land formerly owned by Annie Carnes is what it's at on a couple of the maps I was able to find. I believe it to be an unknown parcel. It's not currently being taxed. So
Yeah.
that's, I think it's an acre or more. If you were coming Pleasant Bay from 39, right where you take a left on a round cove, it's that wooded lot on the left side. That, as far as I can tell, there's no ownership. I went back in the registry, I think the last deed I found was from 1925 or so. Assuming I have the right one, because it's not very descriptive, you know, back in those times. One of the owners was from New York, so I think we may have another parcel out there that's currently not being assessed that we could consider putting on one of these lists, whichever one is appropriate.
Right.
Well, that's one of the things that the maps that we've been preparing, is that because I'm mixing up the assessor's data and comparing and finding ones that the assessor does not recognize the parcel at all. There's a couple of reasons why. And they're shaded a little differently than one that the assessor says is owner's unknown. So my maps would pick up that parcel. And the temporary assessor,
Yep.
they were working on those things last January, and they had started to put some of those things back onto the tax, on the assessor's things. Apparently, the way I understand it, was that somebody back around 2010s decided to just take them out of the database. A bunch of owners unknown out of the database. I know, and I was, what, are you kidding me? But they're actually going back to the old assessor's records from the early 2000s, and lo and behold, the parcel's there with somebody's name. So they're pushing them back in again. Might as well start taxing them again. So, but that's a big project for them, and they got kind of sidelined with the start of the new fiscal year and the new tax bills going out. So I'm not sure what the status of that is right now.
So I'll follow up on that, but
Yeah,
Oh.
but
Great. Okay, well, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I know you got to get to another meeting, so.
it's actually, I think it's supposed to be in here in 20 minutes.
No, they, I
Moved it?
think you got relocated.
All right.
Not his meeting.
Oh,
That was Open Go?
No, cap below it.
Tuesday. Oh, it's got the outland here at 10, I guess.
All right, well, let's
oh,
get going.
We can wrap up.
yeah, we can wrap up. We can be out of here by 10. Okay. Chair's report. First of all, I would just like to acknowledge that James Atkinson has resigned from this committee. I'd like to thank Jim for his service on the committee. He really was a good resource as far as legal knowledge for property acquisition, and I appreciate the time that he spent with us. I attended the Harwich Affordable Housing Trust meeting on September 26th. Nothing really much to report from that. They're still plugging along. Kathy and I were both at the Harwich Affordable Trust Community Housing Forum on October 4th. It was interesting. I think there was a lot of good comments and suggestions from the audience. I thought
For
that,
sure.
a lot of people had some really intelligent comments to make and suggestions and questions. I think it was pretty well. It went pretty
Yeah,
well.
I mean, I think that, you and I, because we've kept up with what they're doing,
Yeah,
we're familiar with most of the presentation. But as they kept saying, they were looking for what the public was looking for. And the public clearly stated that they were not looking for the town to be developers of affordable
Right.
housing, but to partner in a public-private, way to get things moving. And so that really came through pretty strongly, I think.
yeah. And I think that was also, again, reiterated at the joint meeting with the trust and the Board of Selectmen, if anybody watched it. If not, it's worth, a view. I joined a virtual meeting with the Community Development Partnership Housing 101 workshop. It was fantastic. I mean, it was everything you ever wanted to know about housing, but in a way that even I could understand, you know, the process, and it was excellent. And I have received the slide deck that they use, plus the video of it. So if anybody's interested in watching it, I'd be glad to email it along.
Yeah,
But,
I'd be interested.
Yeah, they went through the whole process of, you know, how to write an RFP, where to go for this, who does that, how do you get it, who manages it, I mean, it was very, you know, it was very good. It was excellent. So,
Was it geared towards, who was it geared towards? Was it geared towards like town trusts or developers or individuals or like,
I'm trying to remember who was on, you know, the list of the names. I know Mr. Powers, our town administrator, was on there also, and the housing coordinator from Brewster was also on it.
what was it, like a how-to for, you know,
Yeah, I guess,
trusts or how-to for
Yeah,
funding from like community preservation groups or how-to
I
for
think it
individual
covered everything.
developers?
Honestly, I think it covered everything
Yeah,
that you'd
okay.
ever want to know, or that I'd ever want to know, without getting, you know, really deep into it and real technical about stuff. It was a good, very good, and I, you know, I would think that our trust committee should watch it, because I think that they'll learn a few things too that maybe they weren't aware of, so.
Lane?
Yeah.
How long a video is it?
I think it was probably about an hour.
Oh, no, that's easy enough. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, everybody, all right, I'll send it out to everybody, and you can, you know, at your leisure with a, you know, bowl of popcorn.
I can afford an hour.
Well, you can always
If it
stop.
was an all day, it would be
You can
different.
always stop and go back and, you know, watch it again later, so. Kathy, anything from you, from CPC? What's going on? You getting all your applications?
Yeah, we received approximately 16 applications for
Wow.
this funding year. And I'll, you know, an open space application, and probably 3 or 4 that fall into the affordable housing category.
Oh,
Just,
okay.
you know, just to, 'cause those sort of come under our purview. And we're gonna start, you know, having presentations at our November meeting, and we have 2 meetings scheduled in December.
Okay.
So we hope to get all those in, and then we'll deliberate, I guess, in January, early January.
Are most of them perennials? I mean, they come back every year the same, or is there any new, not saying who they are,
Yeah.
but is there any new organizations that have put in applications, or it's mostly the
No,
same?
it's mostly applicants that we've had before.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, I know last year there was the one with the veterans, wasn't it the
Right.
housing?
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Okay, so, okay, that's good. Margot, you're on the,
I don't have anything to report, but I have a question, and I
Okay.
don't know, you're probably the likeliest person who would know the answer to this question. We got, a couple of weeks ago, we learned that the town got the grants that were applied for the Copolis property.
We were awarded the 400,000 for the land grant, LAND.
Right,
And that is a reimbursement type fund. So that will go back to the most restricted fund, which would be the open space funds
Okay.
at the Community Preservation Act buckets there.
right. So we have a town meeting appropriation for Copolis that was 900.
150,000.
Okay, so, and this, in essence, reduces that amount
It does, to
by,
550,
to 550. So that means
or
we,
500. 450, yeah.
yeah. So that means we have the remainder available for other open space.
That 400,000 will go back into the open space bucket, so starting off this funding cycle, we'll have that 400,000, but I don't know if it goes in until, I don't know if it's something that has to be certified before it, is available.
Right.
So I'm not sure how it will show up in our
Right.
listings there. But
Okay.
yes, the 400,000 will go back into the open space bucket along with whatever this year's allocations are.
Okay. Good, well,
It's great, it's great news.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think that was one of the selling points at town meeting to
Yeah.
get that approved, was the potential for that money coming back.
But every time we have a land thing, there's a potential for that, but sometimes it doesn't happen.
Right.
But it was well worth the appraisal costs and the
right,
costs for the grant writing and that kind of thing,
yeah,
which
Yeah.
came in, I think, under $8,000.
Yeah.
So that was well worth it. And
And I
that came out of CPC administration
Yeah, I think that
funds
was
anyway.
originally 12,000.
Right, but it
Yeah.
really didn't cost that
Right.
much. But
That's
that was
great.
well worth the investment.
mhm,
Yeah,
Sometimes it works out.
yeah,
That's
it would
great.
be, it would be good to remind everybody of that,
Mhm.
when when the moment is appropriate, just so that the notion of, you invest a little bit of money to,
Mhm.
get a greater return is an important principle in doing this kind
Yeah, I
of
don't
work.
think we've gotten one since the Verroki property.
Mhm.
The Verroki, we got, it was a $400,000 purchase approximately, and we got $200,000
Yeah,
LAND grant. So, yeah, so that was very positive.
yeah,
that's
Happy.
great,
good.
that's great,
Hope we keep that streak going.
yeah,
Now, Margot, you're on the local comprehensive plan
I am,
committee?
I am.
What's happening there?
The committee has met twice now. I attended the first meeting by phone from the Adirondacks, which was a little weird, because they had a room full of people and I couldn't hear what anybody was saying. But we had a meeting in early October. It was the same night as the housing thing, actually. And we're just getting started. I think my observation is it's a very good group and quite a diverse group. There's some young people on it, which is a rarity on Cape Cod. So that's great. But I think the big challenge is that we don't have any planning staff in the town.
Yeah.
And really, you need some planning staff to guide this process. And there is money apparently that was appropriated some time ago to hire a consultant to help with this process. And that's one of the first things that the selectmen want the committee to do, is to, I guess, put together an RFP and go through the process of selecting a consultant. But I think it's going to be, there's a very bright woman, Joyce McIntyre, who has agreed to chair the committee, and seems like she's quite on top of things.
Great.
So she's going to need to be doing some pushing in town hall to see if we can keep things moving in a way that we can both get some staff and get a qualified consultant, because otherwise you can't expect a group of volunteers
Right.
to put something together like this. It's a really big piece of work.
Yeah.
We did, what we did initially, the homework for that meeting was for everybody to go back and read some of the previous planning documents for the town, including the most recent open space plan, which, by the way, has a ton of information in it that, above and beyond just open space and recreation. And some of the previous local comprehensive plan versions and the housing production plan. So just trying to get people oriented as to what's been done in the past and talk about what the scope of work might be for the future. And we also spent some time talking about who in town, what kinds of groups we should be reaching out to
Yeah.
involve them in the process.
Okay. Sounds great. Dave, anything?
Nothing other than the map info.
Carol?
Nope,
We're good?
thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing else, then I would take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned, but don't run away. Are we?